One of the greatest books I've ever read on persuasion is from Robert Cialdini, and he goes over his 7 principles of persuasion that you can use across any industry, across any field. But as I build out sales processes for multi 7 and 8 figure businesses, I've seen some of these principles at play when it comes to an online service-based business or when it comes to service-based businesses. So that's what this video is going to be on today. The principles of persuasion at play in the online business world. Again, this is my interpretation of it. I'm sure Robert Cialdini will probably do a better job representing these, but if you haven't read his book, go read his book. I'm not like sponsored by him or anything. Go read his book, Principles of Persuasion. Other than that, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good noise, and let's dive in. All right, so principles of persuasion at play in service-based businesses. And again, the principles are by Robert Cialdini, but hopefully I'm not butchering his name, and I'm not like affiliated with him or anything. But these are the principles I read from one of his books, and I see as I build out sales processes for our accounts, our client accounts, I see a lot of these principles at play. So hopefully you guys get a little bit of free sauce out of this. First principle, I'll move myself a little bit here, is reciprocity, right? You give something first and get something later, right? These are, imagine like favors, right? I do you a favor in the hopes that in the future you will do me a favor back. Is that favor guarantee? No. But that level of sort of obligation is there, right? And we do this reciprocity with communities. And again, this is more on online service-based businesses. Communities with resources and education for free, right? Because we're trying to build up good debt or good favors. That's why you see all these people, including myself, have Facebook communities, school communities, some even Reddit forums where they're just giving out a lot of the how to do XYZ for free, right? The how to is given away for free, gaining enough quote unquote reciprocity money to get them to at least book a call, right? Or at the minimum, give us a little bit of data. Could be their email, could be their phone number. So we can put them in an email list, we can put them on a newsletter, so on and so forth. And then we also want to give them market insights as well as actionable steps so they can at least go on and use the how-to that we've given them, get a little bit of results, and then come to us. And with the principle of reciprocity, the prospects almost feels obliged to, at the minimum, at least have a conversation with us, right? So that's reciprocity, and this is how you would go about, in my interpretation, building reciprocity in your sales process. Next is commitment. Commitment, basically, people want their beliefs to be consistent with their values, okay? And this leads to consistency bias. People want to be consistent with the self-image they have of themselves or the self-image they want to have of themselves, okay? A lot of people aren't where they want to be, but they have an image of where they want to be. So if and you do this, but with your offer, your messaging, and your positioning. So if your offer or your ads or your marketing, your messaging is resonating with the self-image your prospects want to have, their desire to have of themselves, that is automatically going to lead to higher opt-in rate, more leads, lower costs. This is why it's important to test your ad creatives, right? This is what all the marketing agencies do, especially on the creative side. You test different copy, you test different static ads, you test different video ads, so on and so forth, because you want to know which group of people is more likely to commit to you or at least have a conversation with you. And then if you have something like this with, you have ads or an offer or messaging that's creating a good consistency with your prospects, you have a scalable offer. All right. So that's the second one. Next is social proof. Basically doing what prospects see others doing successfully. People don't want to be the first quote unquote experiment, right? People want to be number 15 or number 17, right? If they see 10 people have gone through this process before that are in a similar position as them, they're more likely to be the 11th person. What they don't want to be is the first person, all right? Because number one, people are unsure of themselves. What if I fail? What if this doesn't work? What if, XYZ happens? And people always think in terms of what if negative instead of what if positive, right? Then they also want to be looking at others that seem similar to them, right? So if you have people that are coming from a 9 to 5 and there's 10 people who went from an office job to building a digital marketing agency online, the 11th prospect that is seeing your ad or seeing your messaging or anything like that is more inclined to at least enter your sales process, right? And again, you do this with reviews, testimonials, or any sort of quote unquote proof. And our goal is to move them along further in the sales process. All right. So that's the social proof. Next, we have authority. People like following leaders, period. All right. And how do you become a leader? Actually, knowing what you're talking about, right? So you have to give your prospects market insight, especially in today's world, 2024. There's a lot of noise. Everyone claims to know how to do XYZ or have done XYZ, but a lot of those are just, again, claims. Not many people actually know business, scalability, all that, systems, infrastructure. There's a select few you can tell which ones know. But, anyways, I don't want to go on a rant here. Market insight and your expertise, proving that you've done this multiple times over successfully. That's the only way you should be able to show somebody else to do it successfully. And then others, if this goes back to the social proof, if others are seeing you as an authority as well, your future prospects will see you as an authority. And how do you do this? Is with daily content, right? Mostly educational, with high level market insights, and that most people won't really know. You have to really give them almost like a light bulb. Oh wow, this is how you do XYZ. And then what happens is the level of trust built prior to the sales call or meeting or wherever your prospect is in the sales process is just going to be a bit higher. So when your setter's talking to them or when your closer is talking to them, that level of trust is going to be built. It's going to be a bit higher than it would have been if they were just cold. Next, we have liking. Similarities equal connection. This is an internal thing. And I don't care what anyone says. People will always buy from people they like. Period. End of story. You will not pay somebody 5, 10, 20, 30 K for anything if you dislike them. All right. Now, there's nuances aside. Sure, you don't have to come off happy and super excited. You can be neutral. Cool. But to a certain extent, your prospect has to like you, or they have to like what you do, or they have to like your approach or something. They have to. Right. So establishing common ground, entering the sales process. So before your prospect enters your sales process, certain level of common ground has to be established, right? So what you want to do is as much info on you or your company or your services or whatever it is that you're selling. And you do this by, via your messaging, your marketing, your homepage, your social media presence, so on and so forth. So what happens is the prospect automatically enters the sales process with a certain level of quote unquote likeness already in there, right? In their head. The downside of this, the plus side is higher conversion rates. The downside of most of these things is just it's hard to quantify. You don't know if this deal that you just closed is from someone who had a higher level of likeness, right? How you're going to know this is when you're tracking data as far as your marketing goes and as far as your KPIs on your sales process goes. But that's a different conversation. But it's hard to quantify, but liking is another principle. Then you have scarcity. When something is seen as if it's in short supply, the demand is usually higher. Okay. So, just to give you an example, what Louis Vuitton does is at the end of their selling year, they'll burn off everything that they haven't sold, literally burn it like fire, like they'll burn it because they don't want their supply ever coming anywhere close to their demand, right? And they don't want people using them as knockoffs or people using them and selling them as discount or whatever the case is. They control that scarcity, and that's what we're trying to do here as well. So this creates urgency amongst prospects and faster as well as shorter sales cycles, right? So things like this isn't open to the public and you're selective with your clients, so on and so forth. It makes it feel like it's almost out of reach for your prospects, and they have to almost reach out themselves in order to get it. And then you guys have probably seen this somewhere online. We've only got 3 spots left for the month of November. we only got 4 spots left for the month of February, whatever it might be. And what this does is higher urgency, which results in higher perceived value, which ultimately will result in a shorter sales cycle of your prospect, and then obviously more upfront cash collected. All right. So that is scarcity. And then last but not least, we have unity. All right. This goes back to the Facebook groups and the school communities. People, when they feel included, they're more likely to be persuaded. Being part of a certain group, quote unquote, with similar beliefs and similar values. So, to give you some examples, think religions, think political parties, think race, think nationalities, and stuff like that. Um, so, I'll give you an example. Let's say a liberal joins a group of liberals. That liberal is not going to ask that group of liberals whether or not their beliefs and values are the same, right? That liberal is automatically going to assume that there's a certain baseline level of values and beliefs that group already has, right? So they're going to be more inclined to have preconceived notions, but again, positive ones, all right? And then sharing identities with similar people, again, just works in your favor. And this leads to a community building trust on your behalf, which again leads to higher conversions. So these are the principles of persuasion in business that are at play. Again, these are based off of my own understanding of it as I build out sales processes for multiple businesses, as well as my businesses, and I see these in play. Hopefully, you guys got something out of this. And again, like, subscribe, share, all that good noise, comment, and that's it for this one. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.